Yeah. Perfect. Okay, well, welcome to Marketing Your Coaching Business. Thank you very much for joining us, everybody. My name is Simon Batchelor. I'm a marketing mentor and one of the co-founders of Better, Bolder, Braver. So I have been running a digital marketing agency for almost 20 years now. In that time, I've worked with about 400 small businesses, and we have worked with them on all sorts of things: websites, digital marketing, emails, ads, all sorts. However, I then a couple of years ago, well, about a year ago now, met Francis, and we set up Better, Bolder, Braver to work more specifically with coaches. So, Francis, over to you.
Hello, my name is Francis Chalustri, and I'm the other co-founder of the Better, Bolder, Braver community for coaches. The thing I love most about the work that we do is that I like to spend time with people thinking about how the whole marketing thing is making you feel. I've been in marketing for the last 20 years. Simon and my experience dovetails nicely in that to Simon's agency experience, I've been in-house in the city, in government, in fundraising, and in the charity sector, in social enterprise. So we have, and my sort of, I suppose, area of particular interest for many years was corporate social responsibility. So we've just got, we've both touched on all of the things. And Simon and I didn't realise when we met and sort of fell for each other that we had sort of different zones of genius, as we like to call them. And so we were able to cater in our community for everything from a lot of the technical things that you might like to be able to think about when you're doing marketing, and sort of everything around being able to plan and sort of navigate a lot of the toxic marketing bullshit that you see out there. And then sort of related to that is that we offer space for people to be able to talk about how it's all making them feel to have to put themselves out there. And that stuff is the stuff that really turns me on. And some of the stuff that we'll be talking about today, we hope will mean that you can equally get clearer and in the future with our support, if you'd like it, on what it is that really excites you to be talking to people and supporting people, so that you can speak to that and therefore sort of do work that feels really good to you. So that was a version of my elevator pitch I've never done before, and it's always interesting to know what comes out the wash in the moment. I'll hand back to Simon, so that we can continue with the planned agenda for the session.
Excellent. Thanks very much. Okay, so yes, let's get started with. So have we got the Marketing Your Coaching Business? That's the right one. Excellent stuff. So this is the session. Okay, so as we said, we are founders of Better, Bolder, Braver community. So this empowers coaches to improve their relationship with marketing and feel more comfortable about putting themselves out there. But on top of that, really, we are on a mission to change the way people think about and do marketing. So let's get started with that. So most marketing advice for coaches, it just doesn't really work. And the reason for that is that most traditional marketing focuses on the conversion, on the sale. So as a coach, these conversions aren't really what we're chasing. We're not selling vacuum cleaners, water bottles, or yoga mats, so conversions aren't really our focus. They work very well for e-commerce and online shops. If you focus, however, on conversions, it leads you to think about the client in the wrong way. Because if your focus is on sales, on signing people up to coaching sessions or even online courses, then you're at risk of selling the client something that they don't need and, well, they aren't ready for, which just isn't really appropriate. So rather than chasing this sale, we are looking for a sale, but we're looking for the right sale to the right client. And that requires a conversation. It's an exchange with someone who resonates with what you do and sees the value in the outcome, feeling, or insight that you can guide them to. So what we're going to be doing today is shifting our marketing mindset away from this drive for conversions towards creating opportunities for starting conversations. So the key here is, rather than to sell, is to coach. So in order to speak to a client in a way that doesn't feel like selling, we need to ask some questions, inspire ideas, or invite a change of mindset. We're going to get them thinking about the kinds of things you work on, the kind of clients you guide people, and the place you guide them to. So what we're going to do there is we are going to try and make them think. We're going to ask them some questions. We're going to pose a fresh perspective so that they want to know more. So if this sounds familiar, then you're right. This is using your coaching skills to market your coaching. So many coaches find that attracting new clients can be hard work. They're often very comfortable talking about what they do, how it all works, and explaining everything in lots of detail. But this actually really doesn't really line up with the sales part of the process, I would say. It often feels like a lot of hard work. And if you find the selling bit of coaching hard work, then it's likely that you too are in that hardest bit of marketing. And the reason behind this is generally because you're talking about the wrong thing. You're trying to take a potential client all the way from barely aware that they've got a problem to buying a coaching product in a single step. And it's just too much. Because with your existing years of knowledge and experience, the process of coaching feels sort of obvious and very clear to you. However, a client is often starting from a point of often blissful ignorance. So they may not even be aware that they've got a problem or that there's an opportunity for change, or in fact, that even working with a coach is an option. So to go through all of that in one step, one post, one email is just too much. And with your clarity, it's easy to see how that process can work in one post, but for clients, it's often overwhelming. So it's a mismatch of understanding or awareness. And to be honest, it just starts to feel like selling if we try and do it too much. So what we're going to do today is we're going to look at this client journey in terms of 5 levels of awareness, which is what is on the screen now. So we're going to split up the marketing messaging and the content to talk to and guide the client through this journey at their own pace. That way, we're addressing the client's specific levels of awareness and not overwhelming them, trying to make that sale too early. So the theory behind this is very old. It's been around since 1966, and it was written by a person called Eugene Schwartz. He was one of those madmen people that you may have seen on the TV in that series, and he wrote a book called Breakthrough Advertising, of which the character Don Draper is based. So although you're not trying to sell cars and vacuum cleaners or fizzy drinks, these levels of awareness still apply. And we're going to use them today to understand our prospective client's awareness journey, and then talk to them in a way that appeals to their situation. So let's have a quick look at these levels of awareness. So we start off with unaware, and this is where a person doesn't know that they've got a problem and they can't yet see the opportunity for change. So it can take a lot of time and energy to move them to that next level. Then we have problem aware. It's where a person knows they have a problem or can see an opportunity for change, but they don't know that there are solutions to the outcome that they've identified. Next is solution aware. This is where the person discovers that there are solutions, but they haven't chosen one, and they're still deciding whether they're ready to do the work. Then we've got product aware, and this is where a person is ready to do the work and is still looking for a product that matches what they perceive the solution to be. They're just trying to work out whether your product can help them solve the problem or support them in the change they want to make. And then they get to most aware. And this is the person that this is where the person has decided they want to do the work. They're on the cusp of buying. They just need to know what that first step is. So now what we're going to do is have a little look at each of these levels in a little bit more detail. And then we're going to loop back and see how we can apply them to your coaching business. So we start off at the beginning, unaware. And this is where someone identifies that they have a problem, or that so this is where someone is unaware that they've got that problem. They don't even know that there is anything they could do about it. It's their lived experience. They're not exactly sure that the problem exists at all. So at this stage, not unsurprisingly, they're not looking for a solution. They're just going about their day to day. They may well have assumed, and may carry on assuming, that how they feel or their situation is just like everybody else. So it isn't something they're looking to change. So at this stage, you don't want to try and sell them anything. That would be trying to convince someone that they need coaching, which just isn't going to work. Instead, what we need to do is try and raise their level of awareness to the point they realize that their situation, feeling, or actions are something they might like to consider differently. So we need to get them to switch their thinking or switch their perspective. And this isn't easy, and it can take a lot of time and effort to do well. And that's why marketing can feel like hard work. Next up is problem aware. Now, the word problem isn't meant as a judgment or in a derogatory sense here. It is a way of describing someone with a frustration, an issue, or a feeling, or even a tangible problem that they want to do something about. As much as a problem can be something to resolve, it can also be an opportunity for change, evolution, or reflection. So to fit it onto this graph, though, we did just have to choose one word. The word we went with was problem. So this problem-aware prospect isn't ready to hear about products. They've only just realized that they have a problem, a frustration, or they've only just seen that opportunity for change. So they don't yet know that there's ways to solve their problem or make that change. So at this stage, what we need to do is support them and join some dots, link some ideas together and open them up to a new perspective or viewpoint of their current situation. Certainly not going to try and make a sale at this point. So what we're going to do here is use empathy to make them feel seen, heard and understood, to use their own words and language to help them join the dots and come together to form their own realizations. We're going to try and reflect that problem back to them and show them that you understand and demonstrate that you're best placed to guide them on that journey. Next up is solution aware. So this is where the person is starting to look for answers to their problems. They're becoming curious and beginning to look for answers in and ask their questions. So this is where you can show them how you can help them solve their problem. But we're not necessarily going to focus on a product just yet. What you want to do is educate them about what a good solution looks like and feels like, and what they might like to consider when they're choosing a coach. At this stage, where the client has questions and is seeking answers, they don't want to hear about specific products because they're not yet sure if they even want the solution. When thinking about coaching, this is when someone's deciding if they even want to solve the problem. This is where they're trying to work out whether they're ready to do the work. So once you have their attention from the previous level, and you've helped them understand the problem in more detail, you've got that opportunity to highlight what a solution might look like. And you can also start to answer some of the common questions they have and what kind of solution might be the best fit for them. So here, it can be just as useful to signpost them off to another solution as it is to guide them towards yours. And as tempting as it is to tell them all about your product at this stage, it's better to help them understand the solution first and come to their own decision that they're ready to engage with a coach and do the work. And then they'll progress to the product aware. So at this stage, that person is now looking for a solution. They're looking for a product that matches their idea of the solution. So where they've decided to commit to the work of solving their problem, and now they're trying to find that product that fits that newly acquired criteria. So if you've taken them on the journey so far, and you've put the content out there in the previous 3 levels, and they've seen that you're able to explain the problem and the solution to them, now all they're trying to do is work out whether they trust you to guide them. So they want to know what your product is at this stage. They might be comparing you with what other coaches are saying and offering, but really your job now is to show them why you're the best fit. Now, you've already won a lot of trust, most likely, by simply starting to engage them with empathy and not trying to sell to them too early. Not many people or businesses do this, so you've already got way ahead of most people already. So now what we're going to do is add a little bit of authority into the mix. This is where you show them that you're best placed to guide them to the outcome, feeling, or insight that they want. You need to show them how your product fits their understanding of what a good solution looks and feels like. That then empowers them to make that informed decision about whether they feel you're a good fit. It's about building trust, and it's not about selling yet. Only once they trust you will they be ready to move to the most aware. So this is where the person really believes that you're a great fit. They feel that they're ready to engage with a coaching process, and most importantly, like they've reached this point with their own informed decision. So now they just want to hear your offer. And the biggest mistake people make at this stage is they overcomplicate it and they say too much. So at this stage, we just need to get out of the way. We just need to make it easy for them to take the first step and make it clear what will happen afterwards. This might be booking a discovery call with you, or completing a form to give you some information. Could be purchasing a session or even a course. Whatever that step is, though, it needs to be clear and simple. And we need to let them know what happens after they complete this step. And that means it won't be a surprise, and it reassures them that they can trust you to get started. So that there is the journey that people go on from not knowing all about you to knowing all about you. So What we're going to do now is quickly loop back through that process and just see how it is we go about constructing that process and getting it set up for you. So as you might be thinking, how do we build this journey? And most people would start with the hardest bit, which is trying to convince the unaware people that they need coaching. And that is often where people start. However, what we need to do is make marketing that addresses all 5 levels and helping people at each one find their way to the next. So the easiest and most logical place to start for that is the destination, the most aware. We're going to work out what they need and then go back a level and focus on what the product aware need. So let's have a look at that now. So as I said, the first step needs to be super simple. If it's just book a call with you or fill in a form, that's all you need to do. Just make sure you signpost it very clearly on your website. Try not to ask for too many details and make them jump through too many hoops. Then we're going to make some content for the product aware. And what we're going to do here is aim to clearly show how your product fits their expectation of a solution. So we're going to describe your service from their perspective, focusing on where they want to end up and show them what the process of working with you looks and feels like. Then what we want to do is signpost them to where they can take that first step, which is what we just made. That's where you book a call or fill in the form. What we're then going to do is bring the solution to the attention of the problem aware who have decided that they're ready to work with you. So we're going to tell them about your method and what they can expect to achieve by working through that process. So by doing so, what we're going to do here is frame your solution as a good fit. And we're going to be putting it on the table for consideration. We're then going to invite them to consider your product as one possible solution. So then, with the problem aware, these people are looking to find out more about their perceived problem, experience, or situation. So now, because we've got a separate solution page on the website or a video or an article explaining it, we can concentrate when we're talking about the problems on just talking about the problems, experiences, and situations, because we don't need to offer the solution anymore. Now we can empathize them. We can with them. We can share experiences and stories that give a deeper understanding, and then simply signpost to the solution, which makes your posts feel a lot less salesy and a lot more like you're trying to help. And then once we've got all of that set up, we can then start to decide on the best way to bring the problems to the attention of the unaware. So this may be where you help people connect their situation to a potential issue or a problem that they've got, e.g. difficulty sleeping can be caused by stress, and stress can be caused by etc., etc. That kind of post is what you'd be doing there. So then we're going to signpost to where they can learn more about that problem, which is the other content you've created. So in creating this journey backwards, we're creating a clear path for that client to follow. And as you can hopefully now see and imagine, if you were to start simply with the unaware, then it'd be very confusing because you've got nowhere to send people after they learn about once you get them to problem aware. But if you've got the journey set up and ready to go, then it's a natural process for them to move through at their own pace. So some of you might be thinking, well, hang on a minute, I just want to jump in and solve people's problems. And when the solution is so clear to you, it is very tempting to jump in with that solution. However, a premature solution can be overwhelming to the potential clients. Too much too soon, and they stop the journey, they go on the detour, they get lost, or worse still, they just look for another coach. So you can make the journey feel more natural for them and more manageable for you by breaking it down into these levels and then create a variety of marketing content to guide them as they travel at their own pace. And we know that not everybody's going to complete this journey to become a client, but for those that do, the learning that took place along the way will support the coaching process when it starts. And the bonus benefit is you set up an organic marketing process with content for all, regardless of their level of awareness. And when you're not trying to convert a person into a client with every post or podcast, then marketing feels a lot less like marketing to both you and them. So now what we're going to do is we're going to have time for a little exercise. So our invitation to you is to think about your client's journey. And what we've done is created these prompt questions to help you just spend a bit of time thinking about what we just explained, so you can think about your client's journey. So prompt question number 1 is, how are you helping people become aware of their frustrations, issues or feelings? How are you guiding people to join the dots or consider their problems from a different perspective? How are you articulating what a good solution looks like? How are you inviting them to consider your coaching product that maps their perception of what that solution looks like? And what's the first step you want them to take? So, our invitation here is for you to spend a couple of minutes just looking at those questions and thinking about what you maybe are standing out for you as a prompt question that you're thinking, oh yeah, I'm doing loads of that. That's really good. Which areas you think might need a little bit of work? What I'll do is I'll pop those into the chat as well for you. And if anybody has any questions about what we've just spoken through, then do speak up. Feel free to ask those now, or I'll leave you to consider these questions for a few moments. Has anybody got any questions, or is there anything that's come up for anybody that they'd like to share that's maybe something they've spotted that they want to be doing some more of, or something they've realised they've been focusing on maybe a little too heavily? I don't know.
Do you want us to chat like this, Simon, or
yeah, sure. No, that's all good. Yeah.
Yeah, as much as it pains me to share, I think 3 out of 5, I had some question marks. It wasn't clear, easy for me to articulate what I'm doing. So if I'm not clear on it, then how would my potential clients be clear on it?
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah,
well, that's aha moment.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough. That's really interesting. Was it? Do you mind which one was the one that was most sort of you felt like, oh, I'm not doing that?
How are you inviting them to consider your coaching product that map to their perception of what the solution looks like?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's quite an interesting one. I see.
So I can take people on the journey up to that point, and then that's a missing component. And then step 5 in terms of what's the first steps, that's a bit ambiguous as multiple steps. I'm not necessarily clear on what's the first step they should take. But that 4 is missing basically.
Yeah. And if you have different offerings, just as a bit of clarity, so let's say you do have a one-to-one and a course, for example, they can both have different first steps. That's okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Just as long as the first thing you want them to do is just really clear.
Yeah, and I think it is, but it's just the bit before that's not, which is critical, right, in the journey.
Yes. Yeah.
It's really it's great to, this whole exercise is about self-awareness, and we talk about marketing as being another self-growth tool, and the idea of, what we talk about should be, and we hope it really is, a mirror up to you as to what it is that you find most comfortable to talk about as well. And this is a whistle-stop tour today, so we can't go down all of the rabbit holes and into all of the detail, but this also relates to one's own story, because the different levels of awareness that we naturally gravitate to, firstly, are just really indicative of what your zone of genius is and where your kind of creativities lie most naturally, and the invitation there is to kind of really play into that and have fun with it. But there's also work to be done in sort of being real about some of the stuff that might be difficult to talk to, and that's really important work as well. So just a little nod to that as being part of this. Brenda, you're being very polite. What would you like to ask or say?
Yeah, sorry, I was going to put my hand back down again, so I'm not got that on there. Yeah, really interesting exercise. For some of it, I'm quite a newly qualified coach, new to doing it, and never been self-employed, never done marketing, although I do lobbying and campaigning, so it's kind of like not the same, but it's not as scary. It's just like not something I've done. And yeah, some of my questions were like similar answers to them. So far I've been doing just one-to-one coaching, but I'm about to hopefully do some market research and do some like webinars around the stuff I want to coach on. So I had a bit of trouble with the number 2. So for making people become aware, it was like mostly from conversations with friends or people like me telling them about, I love coaching. Did you know what it was? Because, and then just having those conversations. But also I'm posting on LinkedIn and Facebook through my, for my business, like an article, a post every week about the topic that, I think resonates with people. So getting them to know me and trust that I've got good information. But I'm not doing it every day like some people sort of, I think that like I personally hate saturation from some of the people I've signed up to, where you get 3 emails a day or they're posting 5 times a day. I personally am not into that. I think it's horses for courses, isn't it? But the thing I had trouble with was helping them join the dots, see things from a different perspective. I kind of thought I'm probably back to my posts and conversations. The thing I'm trying to get them to do is to book a taster session, because I personally feel that explaining or writing about coaching is not as good as demonstrating it in live. So that's what I do in my introductory calls. I don't do a short 20-minute, this is who I am, this is what you get, this is how much it costs. I do some coaching. So for me, particularly with coaching, it's not something like there's 3 different brands of hairspray or something, it's like they don't really know what the product is till they've tried it, I feel. So that's my my main thing I want people to do is do a taster session, or, you know, some people call it a discovery call or whatever. And then, yeah, I think I'm about to launch a website at some point, and I'm writing the copy for that, which is why this is so interesting. And I think the thing that's going to be difficult for me is when I do start doing the webinars, I'll have different places to send people. With looking at your 5 stages, I think some of those people who are less aware, or just maybe aware they've got a problem, are more likely to come to some sort of training where they just get given some information, especially if they're have never done coaching or not ready to actually look at themselves. Because even with coaching, people come thinking you're going, even though you've told them it's not mentoring, they kind of want to be mentors sometimes. Yeah, I feel like that I've got some bits of it in place, but there's quite a lot of holes.
Yeah, I mean, I think though that even after doing it for years, there's still going to be areas. Some of these you'll be less strong on, and some of which will be your natural, like really energizes you, and you're like, yeah, I can write posts about this all day long, and you will just naturally lean into one bit of these 5 levels. And we work with coaches who like all different levels of this process. So there are some coaches who only really want to talk to people when they're solution aware. They're just shopping for a solution. That's all they've got interest in. Whereas other coaches just love the unaware bit and they lean into that. And there's no right or wrong way of doing it. But really the aim of this process and the aim of us sharing this journey is that to just give people a bit of a sort of overview that, and to have awareness that people will be at these different stages. So you can choose where you want to start and where you want to lean into and where you want to focus, and that's okay. And yeah, you don't have to post, you know, every day or 3 times a day or 5 times a day. There's lots of different, you know, ways of which you can make this work for you. So yeah, I hope that it sounds like it's been a good exercise to kind of get you looking at it. So what I'd like to do now is just to share kind of another series of steps you can take to help kind of formalize what it is you're actually going to put out, to give you a bit of a process to follow, to get you from sitting here to actually having this in place. So we'll go through that process and then we'll come back for a few more questions. So let's jump back to the slides. Okay. As I say, of course, we will be sharing the recording of this with you afterwards, so you will be able to rewatch this again. So essentially, the process I want to take you through now is the coach's marketing journey. So now we know that the journey of consciousness is the journey that the client goes on to work with you. This is the journey that you go on to create that journey for them. And that's why we call it the coach's marketing journey. So this process is built up from our combined 40 years marketing experience, and we've created this journey from all of that. So it's not like other marketing advice with its emphasis on sort of hacks and tactics and chasing vanity metrics like views and likes and comments. We believe that there is a more ethical and fun and rewarding way to attract those clients and to build a better offer and be braver with putting yourself out there. This journey is more of a mindset shift, as we said at the beginning, from conversions to conversations. So the journey is divided into 6 chapters that you can see there, and we're going to work through those 6 chapters to change preconceptions and expectations of marketing and hopefully help you find some new confidence in putting yourself out there. So we start off with mindset. Now, this isn't the place that most coaches would start. However, by doing so, the rest of the journey is a lot clearer, easier and more rewarding. So with mindset, you start off by getting clear or clearer on your values, your limits and your boundaries. You reflect on your unique impact to others. And in doing so, you set up personal parameters which enable you to create a product and define who you really want to work with, as opposed to who people maybe make you feel or you think you should work with. So clarity on who you are as a coach also enables you to avoid the comparison trap, and it helps you to stop comparing yourself to others and their expectations. So in exploring what your value is and to whom, you will become more confident in talking about it with others. Most importantly, it empowers you to define what success looks like and feels like for you, so you can then build your coaching business that you really want. And that's going to serve you and your clients. And only once you've adapted this new mindset is it good to then build your relationship with you and your marketing. So the next chapter is clients. So this is where we define who our ideal client is, and this enables us to find your niche. So without a niche, you're trying to engage with people who might have no interest in what you do or the outcome, insight, or feeling that you can guide them to. You're essentially just shouting at traffic. Once you can narrow down who you can serve most effectively, it means you can have to do a lot less shouting and can start having some more meaningful conversations. The more you can narrow down and define your ideal client, the fewer conversations you have to have with people who are the wrong fit. And that saves you a lot of time, energy, and money. Next off, we look at your story. So when a client is deciding on whether they want to work with you, they want to know about your who, what, and why. Once you have clarity on who, your story is where you get clear on your what and your why. So your who is your client. So when your clients are getting to know you, they're asking 3 questions. Who does this coach serve most effectively? i.e., who do they say they work with, and do I fit that description? What does this coach work with their clients on? i.e., what can they do for me, and is this what I'm looking for? Number 3, why should I trust them to guide me? So your story speaks to these 3 questions and uses empathy and authority to build trust in the client's mind. If the clients are unsure about working with you, it's because they are unclear on one of these 3 questions. So your story allows you to be concise, engaging, and signal to the right people what to do next. It empowers you to feel better about presenting yourself with more confidence and with a sense of generosity as opposed to vulnerability. The next chapter is product. So building a bolder coaching product enables you to make a bolder offer. One reason coaches find it difficult to sell coaching sessions or fill courses is they're selling something that they want to sell, not something that people want to buy. So what do we mean when we say product? So you might not feel like you sell or even deliver a product, but put simply, your offer is what the client buys and your product is what they get. So even if you think of your service, even if you think of your coaching as a service, what you're essentially doing is packaging the service up into a product and an offer that someone can sort of contextualize and buy. So by understanding who your ideal client is, including their needs and their wants, you can design a product that is exactly what they're looking for. With your understanding of your own needs and boundaries, you can also design a product that serves you too. When you design a product that is a perfect fit for your client, you can be braver with your price. You don't have to be bigger or better than anybody else to stand out. Your story and your use of empathy and authority will build trust with your client and enable them to say yes with confidence. So the next step is content. So we don't believe that you need to churn out content to attract clients. We believe that once you find your voice, embrace your authority, and get creative, you will enjoy producing content that invites conversation and engagement from your audience who are the right fit for you. Some coaches say, I know content, it's not for me, it just takes too much time, or I don't have anything to talk about. And we get that. If you've tried it before and nothing's really come back, then it can be easy to dismiss the time and the effort it takes. So why should you create content? Well, firstly, let's just clarify that content doesn't have to mean social content. It could be a blog, a podcast, or a video. Content's primary objective is to build trust. It shows your ideal client that you're the guide they've been looking for and that you have a plan that they want to follow. It builds confidence in you, establishes authority, and enables the client to get to know you so they can make an informed decision about working with you. So we're not talking about hacks or tactics or how to 10x your audience, because you just don't need any of that. What we're going to do is show you how to create content that educates, entertains, and engages your ideal client and opens them up to having an authentic, meaningful conversation. So journey is the final chapter in the story. And what this does is it brings together all of the previous chapters and builds that journey that guides people through the 5 levels of awareness and lets them build trust and educate themselves on the solution before they consider your product. So as we've seen earlier, attracting new clients can be hard work and frustrating and expensive if you're trying to take someone all the way from barely aware they have a problem to buying a coaching product in one single leap. So in this chapter, we're creating marketing, messaging, and content that talks to and appeals to people at all 5 levels of the journey. So we finish the process by making a manageable marketing plan, that maps out what you need to do to get everything in place for that journey to unfold. So some people ask this question when we get to the end. They think, well, hang on a minute, can't I just skip all of this and buy some Facebook ads? Or can't I just use some Instagram ads? So you could try and do that. And you could try more of what you've done before. You could jump straight in with a solution that you know will work and try and convince people what they need. Facebook and Google will happily take your money to help you do this. And it is definitely tempting to throw a few tactics at the wall and see what sticks, especially if those tactics come recommended as having worked for someone else. The thing is, using ads to bring people to something that they're not ready to buy isn't going to work very well. So unless you've got a large pot of money to throw at ads, it's far better to build a journey that builds trust and starts conversations with your ideal clients. Doing this at a time when they're ready to do so and ready to want to work with you. So you've already got these great skills of listening, reflecting, and responding to articulate the client journey that nurtures potential clients as individuals rather than treating your marketing as a must-do, throwing noise out to anybody in earshot. You'll create a marketing process that feels more like coaching and less like selling. So that there is the marketing journey that we go on. So does anybody, we can now have a little bit more time for some questions. If anybody else has any other questions they might have about that journey.
We have a question from Claire who says, when talking about content, you said educate, entertain, and I thought it might have been engage. There you go.
Engage, another E. Yes, yeah. Content is an interesting one because we've got to put it all on one slide, but it's actually, there's so many different things you could do. You could start a podcast, you could start a YouTube channel, you could start a blog, you could, post all the time on different social channels, or you could kind of find a nice happy mix of a few that work for you. So there's a lot of different options out there.
I wanted to very quickly before we ask you to. Well, actually, let's do that. Has anyone got any sort of burning things that are coming up? Questions, like moments of enlightenment, feelings of fear and frustration, confusion, overwhelm. Hi, Brenda.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, the content one. I mean, I've worked fairly hard on like the product and getting my qualifications and putting up information about what that is. And I've been reading that you need to sort of write stuff, not from you telling them stuff, but from where they're at to where they want to go and how you can help them, which I'm starting to understand I need to do. I haven't quite got to doing it. But the content thing, it's kind of like a bit like what would you call it, shouting at traffic, even though I kind of know my ideal client and I'm writing for that audience, which is kind of mirror me. Surprise, surprise. I just feel like that thing about if you don't get much engagement, you might get likes sometimes, or if you tag people, this is on social media a bit, but it could be a bottomless hole and you don't know how well you're being received. And I went on a LinkedIn course with somebody on LinkedIn, and she kind of said, because I'm used to using Facebook, but I've switched more to LinkedIn coaching work, and she said, don't worry if it's not getting likes and stuff, it's different on LinkedIn, it's not quite so sort of visible when you're getting interaction. And I sort of do, you wonder, because you're spending this time, I try not to spend a lot of time on doing the content, and I'm only early days, but you sort of feel like you're getting this stuff out there. Some people are reading it, but then that's all they might ever do is read it and never become a customer, which I feel like there's like 90 to 95, maybe 99% of those people, that's all they are. So it feels like a kind of heavy weather way of doing things.
Well, I think if you're just writing the content and putting the content out, then you won't know if it's working because it's not signposting to what to do next. So if you're writing a bit of content about maybe a problem or experience or a feeling that someone has, then in the end of the article, you can say, I've written this all about why you might not be sleeping very well. If you'd like to learn how to sleep better, then you can go here and do this thing. And when you when you invite people to take that next step, then you can start to tell if it's working, because you can see how many people have clicked through to come to that page, or how many people have then booked a call with you to learn more about it. So if you've got the steps set up, then you can kind of start to see what's working and what really interests people. Because as soon as you put something out that's very specific, it's not a broad article explaining the entire process. It's just a really specific blog or article or whatever you want to call it about a specific topic. You'll suddenly see lots of people go like, oh, that's really interesting. I really like that. That's really landed with me.
The other thing to remember is, and we do remind our community members of this, part of the space that we hold in the community is so that everybody isn't sort of feeling overwhelmed all the time by sort of having to put stuff out there and not getting enough feedback and all the rest of it. So one of the things that we do remind people is that it's nice to have somewhere to point someone that you're having a conversation with to. So we talk about building up a sort of portfolio of stuff that people can I think, Simon, you've called it the Netflix of you previously, which is quite helpful for people. And it's sort of like where people can see that you are sort of what they think you are, because you can point them in a conversation to an article you wrote about imposter syndrome, or getting divorced, or an epiphany moment relating to your 5-year-old self, and it's not so much that you should expect every time to be getting all this engagement on all of the posts, or however many downloads of your podcast, but it's nice to know that it's out there, so that when you have conversations, which is what you're hoping for, and you spoke, I mean, you touched on so many millions of things earlier, Brenda, and you've just done it again now. So it's frustrating, because I'm like, all of those things that you've spoken to are things that we work with people on every single day. But one of the things you talked about was how our biggest invitation to people is to coach, use marketing for coaching. And you talked about it in terms of the discovery call, and how you like for people to see what it is to work with you and to feel what it is to work with you. And we talk about that all the time. And all these things that you do in your marketing, whether it's having a discovery call, or posting something, or having a conversation out loud, are all ways that people can get a sense of what it is to work with you. And that's the joy. That's why, being surrounded by coaches, we are very lucky, Simon and I, because you guys are extremely emotionally intelligent already, and you have the fundamental skills to do excellent marketing, because you've done the work yourself, and you know how to ask penetrating questions of people, and you are not the hero of the story, you're the guide, and you're not shouting from your soapbox at people. You're really wanting to help, but it's the really wanting to help thing that can be really frustrating. Because when people aren't seeing that you are there and able to help them, for someone who's transitioned out of a other career into this, it can be really annoying when you just want to do good. One thing I just want to say is, coming from being an agent of change, as you have been, Brenda, in your campaigning life, is going to be extremely helpful. Because for those of us who've worked in the third sector and in the charity sector, we've developed skills in being able to stand up proudly about the thing that you offer and the thing you want to change. And a lot of people who are coming from other jobs really have to work hard at pivoting that relationship, because it feels so icky and salesy if you haven't been used to fundraising, or you haven't been used to campaigning, or something that says people have to stop and listen, this is really important. So with that experience behind you, you're on you're in a good place, basically. And just very finally, niching is another thing that we work with people on all the time. Two things I want to say to you all are, people think that niching is cutting off your nose to spite your face, because you can't speak to everybody. Number one, as Seth Godin says, we're not for everyone, and that's okay. And number two, we're not only niching so that we can be more focused, so people understand why we have an authority and best place to help them, but it's also for you to get clearer on who it is that you want to surround yourself with, and what their values are, and to get to know them better, so that you can refine your coaching work and your marketing. So, sorry, there's a lot there, but as I said, you touched on many, many things that really work with people on.
Yeah, there's a lot of different areas to talk about. So just to bring the session to a close, I'd just like to share with you a few next steps of how we can kind of carry on the conversation or continue to work with us if you should like to do so. If you do have to shoot off, that's not a problem, but it'll only take a couple of minutes just to run through some of the opportunities we have to carry on the conversation. So the next steps are, firstly, you can download the Coach's Marketing Plan. So the key to making marketing a success is to make it manageable. Marketing doesn't work when it feels overwhelming or complicated, and it does work when it feels enjoyable and authentic. So hopefully this session has given you some ideas to help get going. But if you want to take it to the next level, then do download the free marketing plan, which you can get on our website. I will pop a thing in the chat for you. There, you can download that free plan. The next thing that you can do, if you would like to, is you can join our community. So it is a vibrant, supportive coaching family. It's a space to connect and collaborate and to grow as a business owner and as a person. So when you join, you will find clarity in workshops that balance strategy and tactics with confidence and energy to make your marketing more manageable. You will have access to all of our coaching specific marketing content and to previous session recordings. There's a lot of them in a lovely library for you to access. You'll be held in a space to talk about how marketing is making you feel and reflect on the process. You'll be able to connect and collaborate with loads of like-minded coaches, and you'll be energized and inspired and motivated to keep going. So monthly membership is just £30, €35 or $40, and you can enjoy a free trial membership. So you can take a look around and see if it's for you. And you can do that on our website. If you just go to betterbolderbraver.com, you'll find a link in the top there to join. Now, if you would like to take what we've spoken about today further, then you can join us on the Coach's Marketing Journey course. And this isn't like anything you've done before, because we're going to approach this marketing as you're approaching questions. So coaching, sorry, we're going to ask you lots of questions, we're going to get you thinking, and we're going to guide you through the whole process to empower you to take marketing and make it work for you in a way that fills you with joy and helps you find clarity. So the course includes 70 videos and exercises. It has a dedicated feedback and accountability group. You get a complimentary one-to-one session with me and Francis, and it includes community membership. The other benefit is that you can revisit and repeat this course as many times as you'd like. So if you would like to join us, we are going to guide a small group of coaches through this marketing training course, and it starts on April 19th, which is next Tuesday. So that's when we're hosting the first of 6 check-in sessions. So it's the perfect time to join us. There is no large upfront cost or long commitment. It's structured to be priced and to be flexible at £50 a month. And this includes, as I say, the community membership. This enables you to buddy up with another coach and be inspired and supported throughout the journey. You can also try it out for free, which is nice. So you can start a 14-day free trial membership, take a look around, see if it's for you, and you can come to that free, that first check-in session as well, included in that trial. So if it's not for you, then that's fine. At least you gave it a try and it didn't cost you anything. But if it is, then it's just the start of a really exciting journey. You're going to be supported in building a nourishing, energizing and rewarding coaching business that empowers you to be more confident in talking about the work that you do. It's going to help you to attract more of the clients you really want in a way that feels less like selling and more like coaching. So if you'd like to find out more about that course, then you can go to this address, which I will pop in the chat. And then that just leaves me to say, yes, thank you very much for joining us today. And if you have any questions or you'd like to know more about anything I've just shared, then we're happy to stick around, take some questions, chat and nerd out about marketing for a bit more if anybody wants to. But if you've all got other things you've got to shoot off to, we completely understand. Yeah, we look forward to seeing you soon, connecting with you, and yeah.
I've got to drop now, but thank you so much. That was really good.
That's all right, Ros. Thank you very much for joining us. Great to see you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Actually, Simon.
No worries, Raymond. Take it easy. Hopefully see you around. If you've got any other questions, just give us a shout anywhere, anyhow. You know, we're around. Thank you.